Hi, everybody. I'm so happy every time I come back and do a fun program for you. You don't know. It's so much fun. Let's sing a song, say hello. Welcome to Full Steam Ahead. Hello, children. Hello, grown-ups. Welcome to our class today. Let's sing everybody's names. Then we'll sing and dance and play. Hi to the children. Hi to the grown-ups. Hi to teacher. Hiya that rhymes with papaya. And we'll sing and play and learn a lot of fun things today. Ready? Here we go. And I'd like to sing a song for you about the garden because we've been going to the garden every week this summer and late spring, and lots of things are growing, from seed to leaves to plants to flowers. Inch by inch, row by row, gonna bless these seeds I sow. All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, someone bless these seeds I sow, and warm them from below till the rain makes the rain with me comes tumbling down. We have to take care of our ground, right? Pulling weeds and picking stones. We are made of dreams and bones. Feel the need to grow my own, 'cause the time is close at hand. Grain for grain, sun and rain. Find my way in nature's chain. To my body and my brain, to the music of the land. Well, I want you to hear the music of the land today. And some of the music of the land comes from the sky. So what is it called when it comes down from the sky, all that rain? Precipitation. Can you say it? Precipitation. Can you do it? Precipitation. Now, if the rainwater goes back up when the sun comes out, it's called evaporation. And where does that evaporation happen? Well, I don't think you get to see it very often because usually it's in the air and you don't see it. Because water, when it evaporates, it doesn't show against the air very well. But it does show if you put a plastic bag and you catch it. And so we put a plastic bag around a leaf last time. And if you look at this beautiful leaf that fell off my tropical plant, you can see lines. They're called striations or lines or veins, just like you and I have veins in our arm and our legs, all over really. This beautiful, beautiful leaf has these little lines. Can you see them? A big one in the middle and little ones that go out, yeah? And those veins carry the water all the way from the stem, up, and through these veins, and then it goes in the air. And that makes the air cool, because the water cools the air. And it makes the water moist. In the morning, it's called dew, and you see little drops of rain or water, which is called condensed on the leaf. So it looks wet, but it's just a little bit wet. Then you see the water go away, or you don't see it, but it goes away. And then it comes back down as rain. When it condenses on there, you can see it as a water drop. Now, water drops are a circle shape. When they fall, they stretch, so a teardrop shape is what you may see. But when it falls down and hits the ground, it's going to end up always staying a circle. Water loves to be a circle because on the edges there's what's called surface tension, a little bit harder on the edges of the water molecules. Kind of hold them together, and that makes it stay as a circle. Are you ready to see what we see? Let's see if we can see. I put a bag around here. Now, if I covered it enough, you will see a little water in here. I don't know if I did it really tight. Yeah, I think the water's gone. But if you do it at home, There was water last time I did it. Science is about experimenting, which means it doesn't always work. But if you take water and you put it on here, you will see that it's a drop. It's shaped like a circle. Let's show you. Ready? And this is what it looks when it's condensed on the bag. And this would have come out of the leaf. But maybe those leaves are too little. Look how skinny these leaves are. They probably didn't return. So can you see that water on there? Let's see if I can show you again. Ready? Here's the water. There's the water. I'm going to put more. And then you can see the water. It's shiny. That's condensed. That's what water does when it stops being in the air and it gets harder, a little bit thicker on the paper or the plastic wrap. So there's our water. Yeah, I can see little shiny parts. That's the water condensed. Very nice. We learned condensation, and then it goes up, evaporation, and then it comes down like the rain, which is called precipitation. Very nice. All right, let's say bye to this lovely bamboo plant. Very nice. Bye-bye, bamboo plant. Now I want to tell you something. When you put your hat of a scientist on, a pretend hat, and you put your pretend scientist glasses, you are in a special place where other people who worked really hard eventually get to do that for a real job. You are starting to be what's called a scientist who makes hypotheses. What is that word? Hypotheses. It's not even that pretty a word. It's a long word, but one of them is a hypothesis. And a hypothesis is a question. What would happen if it never rained? What would happen if the sky turned upside down? What happens if the clouds were on the bottom and the earth were on the top? That's a hypothesis that's a little hard to prove. But we can make a hypothesis that can be proven or at least tested. So when we try out our question, that's called testing an hypothesis. And sometimes you say an hypothesis or a hypothesis. All right. So I want to put on your hat, ready, and put on your glasses, and we're going to say a little rhythm, ready? If we ask a good question, we are sure to find out more of what the whole wide world is about. If we ask more of these hypotheses, we will learn what happens from comets to fleas, far and close by, from planet to a tiny fly. A good hypothesis will help you find why. And that is something I made up to tell you. And someone had a question that she did not know the answer to. How does a seed grow? So she wanted to know, how does a seed grow? And I'm going to read you what she found out. Hang on, I'm going to find the page. Okay, here we go. Do you see these pretty seeds? Here's the roots, here's the stem, here's the flowers. I'm going to read it again. Ready? How do seeds know which way is up? It's dark underground where sunlight can't go. So how does the seed know which way to grow? The root is the first to grow from the seed. Down, down into darkness, it digs at full speed. Gravity sensors within each young root teach it to follow a straight downward route. And once this young root has taken the lead, a tender green shoot, just a little one here, sprouts out of the seed. The shoot only knows that it's in life's pursuit, means heading the opposite way of the root. Since shoots need sunlight to live and to grow, here it comes. I'll tell you. They force themselves up through the dark dirt below. The roots need water and the shoots need light. Each go their own way and it works out just right. Roots and shoots. Can you say it? Roots go down and shoots go up. Roots need dark and shoots need light. Very nice listening. Well, let's see what we're going to learn next. I want to show you some beautiful seeds. Do you know where they came from? They came from my garden, and I dried them out. because it's my favorite fruit and I want to plant more of it. And it has a special name. Are you ready? And it is called a gooseberry. And it does not look like a goose. It also has very pretty names, lantern fruit. I want to show you what it looked like when it's all sticky like that. Can you see all the seeds on there? There they are. Before, when I showed it to you, they weren't dry. It's been a few weeks and now they're dry. So if we want to plant them, they are ready to plant. How fun is that? I separated them, a few of them, and they're on this little paper here. Let's see if we can see. Right? Yeah. Oh, it's hard to see. And they're falling out. Oh no. Don't want to lose them. So I'm going to plant them and show you how they grow for the next week, okay? Now, you wonder, how does this all happen? How does it grow? How does it take the seed? What happens? Everything is so little. How does it get to be so big? Well, there's information inside that seed. Just like when you were born, there was information in the seed that was a kind of seed where you grew from. And that information is called an atom or a molecule. And an atom is like a circle. It's like a little ball. And it makes everything up. The sky, the earth, the trees, the people, the chairs, your favorite animal, everything is made out of atoms. And when they love each other and they connect because they're the kind that like each other, not all of them connect, some go this way and that way and they pull apart, they become a molecule. And we learned about a Mickey Mouse molecule that was the water one, with one oxygen and one air for hydrogen. So I want to show you a little poem that you can also tap your knees to about what atoms and molecules want to do. Are you ready? Here we go. Atoms and molecules. Nothing stands still. Even though you think things you see stand still, inside are little atoms with their own will. Inside are little atoms with their own will. Little atoms like to bounce around. They make up everything from air to ground. When they stick together, they make a molecule. They also bounce and are so cool. But if they get hotter, they will bounce around more. Can you make those molecules bounce so fast? Turn into steam. And in Spanish, you say vapor. Goes up. Evaporation. But if they get hotter and bounce around more and turn into steam, which in Spanish is vapor, if you want to see them move in a groove, put some color in some water and they will dance. So smooth. So we're going to do that. So if you want to see them climb up a celery stalk, then we're going to do that after. Put celery and color in some water and let them climb. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of color inside. I got my color, water, and I want to show you how the water and the color move around and blend together. If the atoms were sleepy and just didn't move, the water would stay like this and the little color would stay like this. But since they're gonna change because they're always moving little molecules, you will see the water turn a color. Let's see what color this is. Ready? Ooh, what color do you think it is? Do you see it changing? Should we stir it with the celery? Let's do that. Oh, it's really changing. Can you see it? When the water mixes, it's because it's moving. The atoms are moving. Oh, look how pretty. Look how pretty. Now, all those atoms inside moved around so fast, we didn't see them moving because you didn't have a microscope, that the water changed color so fast, right? Now, we want to see how a plant sucks up the water, up, 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 and how it will show you when the green in this water, it sucks up. What do you think will happen? Put on your hat, put on your goggles, make a hypothesis. Are you ready? What will happen to the celery if it drinks all that dark green water? Will it turn purple? Will it turn red? No, it's going to turn dark green. You will see this stalk, which is light green, get very dark. Are you ready? I want to show you what part of it is going to go. Suck it up. This is the inside of this. So if I went like this, can you see that little bumpy part that's dark green? I'm going to show you. Can you see this little line here? Whoa, and then it's white. So that bumpy line is called the phloem and the cambium and the xylem. It has these three names. I don't know which part is which. I gotta learn more. Here's our picture. Are you ready? Here we go. Here's the xylem. Here's the phloem. And then here's the cambium. All the circle that goes around. All those parts is where the water that's gonna be dark green goes through. Isn't that amazing? There's so many little parts to a plant. So this is gonna go up, 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 up. It's gonna take a while. It doesn't happen right away. So if it goes up and it goes up and goes up and up, and then after I come back next time, when I come back, it'll be all the way. It may take like 6 days. I'm not sure. 5 to 6 days. So here you go. That is our molecules bouncing around. How fun is that? Now, what do you think will happen to a seed that's very big? I showed you a seed that's very small. Actually, I want to show you a medium seed. Hang on. Here is my medium seed. That's funny. All right. Do you see my medium seed? It's in a giant pod. Isn't that beautiful? It's so soft. This came from a plant that grows so much. It's called wisteria. My friend Esty gave me this pod to plant these seeds. So this week we're going to dry these seeds. I'm going to take one out. They're much bigger than the one I showed you before, right? And we're going to put them on the same coffee filter to dry. And we're going to make seeds ready to plant so I can have wisteria at the beginning of my house, which is called an entry, on a little arbor, which is a little fence that's up going like this. And then you can see it when you come to visit me. All right, so we have our pod, which has the seeds in it that are medium. But I had an avocado. Do you like avocado? I do. And I wanted to know, how am I going to grow an avocado seed into a plant? So I went and looked on a video, and the gentleman showed everything. I want to tell you it's fun. So he said, take your seed and take all the brown skin off. So I took almost all, you see bumps, but I put most of it off, right? And he said there are lines that are like veins that go like this on the little seed. Don't put the little pokey things on the lines, because the line is where it's going to open up. And in a week to 10 days, if I put this in the water, where the part that was attached to the root, the bottom is the root, see that little brown part? If I put that in the water, you see the water, and it's up high enough so it touches, then you will see it grow. So it's supposed to be halfway, so we may have to bend this. What we can do is put this higher so that when this avocado goes in the water, at least half of it is stuck in the water. These are corn holders. I thought that would be good. Oh yeah, isn't that nice? Look at that, it's halfway in. Oh, that's great. So it's gonna grow. If you say the magic word, it might even grow better. What should our magic word be today? Let's see. We have a stem. Where's our picture? We can make our magic word be the stem. And then the second magic word is a sepal. That's the little part that ends the stem. That would be a nice word. Sepal and stem. Let's clap it just so you remember our magic word. Ready? Sepal and stem. Can you say a little more slowly? That might be fast. Sepal and stem. Good. All right. Say bye-bye, avocado. You're going to go with the green celery. Now I wonder what we're going to do. I think I'm going to show you what we made in our special camp. Oh my goodness, so exciting. I'm going to be very careful because it's a little bit to be, hang on. I want to show you what we made. Here it is. Now, Teacher Haya likes to make jewelry. I don't know if you knew that, but I like to make jewelry, and I thought the girls in my camp would like to make jewelry too. So there is a special thing we did, and it took a little while, but we smushed all the rose petals, all the pretty part of the rose. We picked it in the morning when it smells really good, and we mushed it up in a blender with a little bit of water, and we made it like a Play-Doh out of it. And we let it dry after we made it into circles. Look at these cute little circles. Do you see them? After it dried, I put the, almost all the way, not quite, I put the pin in it so it's got a hole in the middle, and we can make a necklace or jewelry, whatever. And if you smell it, it still smells like roses. So I'm going to have little rose beads, and I'm going to have a bigger rose bead, and then I'm going to have a biggest rose bead, little, medium, and big, and we're going to make a necklace. And the girls don't know, they're going to be pretty surprised. So we can use the petals that are on top of the flower that call the birds so that the birds see the pretty color of the petals. And we can make something pretty out of them after they've fallen down or they're getting a little old. We can make jewelry. So the flowers are giving us a present. And here's a petal. Very, very good listening. Now, what I also want to show you is that the veins take all the water up into the sky, and the sky gets all soft and warm and cozy all around those plants, and then they grow better. So when you put a lot of plants together, they grow better because all that water is helping make even more water. And if you were a tall, giant redwood tree, you would grow with other redwood trees because that's what they do. Other redwood trees grow together with each other. And do you know that redwood trees are the ones that help us make clouds? They help make clouds. And even more interesting is, you like sourdough bread? Sourdough bread tastes differently because the clouds that we have from the redwoods, the humidity, the moisture in the air, makes our bread have different yeast, different taste in the bread dough. That makes it taste yummy. And that's why they call it San Francisco bread dough or sourdough. All right, I'm going to take you on a special journey outside of my house. And I'm going to show you something that's very cool. I'm going to show you my worms. I have new baby worms. I am a mommy of lots of worms now. And these worms came to my house because I asked the people, I asked the people what I should do, and they said I should get worms and I can help my garden grow bigger. So let's see if we can grow some worms. Are you ready? I show you how I grow my worms. Now, I think what I'm going to do is turn off for a second, and then I'm going to go in my garden, okay? And I'll be there in a minute. Okay, hi everybody. I'm out in my garden, and I want to show you, if you can hear me and see me okay, what I first did. I first put a big circle of paper and broken up little pieces of paper. Hang on, I'll do it this way so you can see, for the worms to sleep on. And that was their bed. And then I put coconut fibers on. Coconut fibers are even like softer beds, like makes the mattress. And then we put water, and we put extra stuff that we didn't use, we cut off from the vegetables that we ate. And guess what? The worms love them, and they're growing bigger and bigger, and they're eating. And when they poop out what they eat, it's called casings, this little black stuff. And it makes the soil better for plants to grow. So my garden is growing really nicely because these worms are great helpers. Can you say the big word for me? Vermiculture. Can you say it? Vermiculture. I think worms are so cute. So here's my Airbnb for worms. Are you ready? It's their little house. And here it is. Now, if you can see this, all the veggies I covered with special dirt that was really good so that the things did not get can I say, moldy. So now I want to show you in my hand. Who's wiggling and jiggling and tickling me? Who is that? It's a worm, and he's so happy. Look at that worm. Whoop, he doesn't know why he's on TV here. But there he is. And he is growing and growing and making the dirt soft and has stuff in between so it's not too tight around the plant so the plant can breathe. And he's making the food for the plant. So say hi and bye to our little cute worm. Goodbye, worm. All right. Now I'm going to put back the top of his house so the humidity stays in there. Just like I said before, the moisture in the water goes up when the sun comes. And we're going to put this other big circle on top like that. And we're going to keep it for when there's even more worms and we can't fit it. Now, if you see this garden, you will see how everything is growing so big. Look at this beautiful rose that we took the petals from. Can you see this rose? Oh, that's so pretty. And it smells so good. Now, what we're going to show you are all the big vegetables that grew from little seeds. Here they are. It's so fun. I am very excited. Look at this giant pumpkin plant. Oh my goodness, look how big it is. It's very happy because we gave it lots of water yesterday. Here's our tomatoes. Can you see the little tomatoes here? Yeah, they're down there. There they are. Little tomatoes. Here's my nasturtium. You can eat these flowers. And there's nectar. And you can suck the nectar out. Of this little part, this long part, you take it out. And you see there, and it's so, it's like honey, honey, honey. That's what the hummingbirds and the bees like. And then we have other things there like lettuce and our gooseberries. And that's where we got the seeds from. Our lantern fruit, here it is. And there it is, so pretty. Those are the seeds we're going to plant. Oop, ha ha, here we go. And here's our corn. Corn is so tall. Do you know what kind of corn that is? It's pink striped popcorn. So we're going to have that when it's all ready. Okay, I'll meet you back in the house. Okay, here we go. Well, I want to show you something about what those little molecules do so you can see how they move through the fibers of paper and how they will eventually move through the water into the celery, because it's very cool. So I'm going to drip a few little green drops on paper, and let's see if it will work. Oh no, we'll try it. Yeah, it's green, you can see it. And you can see how it's going to soak it up a little bit more and more at a time. Here we go. I'm going to put a little more. And then, let's see, I'm going to pour even more. There you go. Ah, there we go. When I poured it at first, it just did a little. And then it got more and more wet, further and further out. Do you see how the green is like that? A little bit dark in the middle, and then a little bit went out. I'm going to pour it again. Try not to get on my computer. See how it gets soaked up and soaked up and soaked up more and more and more and more and more? All these little circles are soaking it up. That is called capillary action. Capillary, these little circles are soaking up the water. So go, and they get bigger and bigger, spread out more and more. So we have our beautiful avocado seed, which is going to suck up the water into the little shoot, the little green thing that's going to grow. Then the green thing grows into a stem because the water goes up and up and up. And you know that the seed likes to make the shoot grow up big and big and big to the light, up, 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 up. And the roots go down, 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 down. And the veins, here's all those lines. Let's do a quick show. They show you how it travels. That's their street. That's where the water travels, these little lines. So is that fun? Now I want to tell you a little story And the story is one I wrote about two girls. And the girls were princesses, and they lived in a castle, each one in a different castle. And one was very silly, and one was very serious. And the serious one just wanted to have fun for a day. So she went to visit her friend Cornelia. Her name was Amelia. And Cornelia took her on a sleepover in her backyard. And her backyard has a beautiful garden. And in the garden is a special flower. And the flower is called a moonflower. Let's see how it works. Moonflower. Doesn't look like the moon, but it likes the moon when the moon is big. And when it comes out at night, the moonflower opens up. And it makes a beautiful smell. And the moths who live at night, who are awake at night, they go and find the nectar that I just showed you in my garden in the red flower. They find it in this white flower because it stands out. It shows better at night. So that's why it's called a moonflower. Are you ready to hear the story? Here we go. Cornelia and Amelia made sure that no one was awake. The lights were out on the top floor of Cornelia's house, which was a castle, and the hedgehogs, who were her pets, were collecting crumbs from after dinner. So that was sure sign that night had fallen. Hedgehogs are night animals. They like to be awake at night. By the white light of the moon, the girls dressed just the opposite of the white moths. Of course, moths don't really get dressed, but they look white. Cornelia wore her usual bright red and orange clothes, and she was very proud of it. And then she said, "Hey, I look just like a monarch butterfly." She loved monarchs because they're bright yellow and bright orange. "My fluffy blue skirt looks like a spring azure butterfly," said Amelia. She loved fancy blue dresses. Cornelia joked, "If I were a real butterfly, I could taste with my feet." She looked down at her feet. "Ew, the ground tastes terrible." And she made a big smile. Amelia chanted in, "I'd much rather be flying at the moment or landing on a moonflower than have my taste be of dirty dirt. It's so soft, a moonflower. I'd like to land on one and drink its nectar that's so sweet." Do you know that a moonflower blooms for only one night? When the sun rises the next morning, the moonflower dies. "That's kind of sad," said Cornelia with a little pout. "If flowers could talk, I wonder what they would say," said Amelia. "Only living for one night, they'd have to choose their words very carefully." Cornelia jumped in. "Flowers do talk. They hum. They go like this. Mmm. It's their negative electromagnetic charge. They have electricity, very little bit of electricity. It's called static electricity, like when your hair goes up when you rub a balloon on it. The bee hears it and it comes to the flower. Bees have a positive charge. They have the same static from rubbing against the wind. All their furry fur on their bodies rub against the wind and they get a little static electricity and their hair goes up. The bee hears it and comes the way of the flower. The bees have a positive charge from the wind brushing against their furry bodies. That way the opposites attract, positive and negative. The bee gets his nectar, and the flower gets its pollen spread all over it so it can reproduce. Let me show you what that looks like. Ready? Here's the pollen right in there. And the bee gets it from up there, and the moth and everybody, like a hummingbird too. And they put their proboscis down there, their long tongue, and they swallow all the nectar too. "Well, everyone wins in that way. It's called a win-win-win," said Cornelia. Amelia said that was funny. She said, "I want to show you my pretend wings. Too bad flowers and butterflies can't have a real conversation. Butterflies can't hear the flowers buzz. They have no ears, right?" "Oh, kind of right," says Cornelia, "but not exactly right. Because this is magic. I think it's magic." You know what Cornelia said? Cornelia said that butterflies can hear with their wings. Oh, so cool. They have special wings, and in the top of their wings is like a plastic bottle or any bottle like this. And the air travels in this little wing that has a vein. This is like a vein, and inside the vein runs blood right in our body. But in this empty space, actually, what comes through is sound in the air. And there's a teeny tiny ear, teeny tiny little ear that the butterfly has that tells the butterfly what the sound is. Is that cool? So butterflies hear with their wings. Oh, that's so interesting, said Amelia. So Cornelia explained, the Saturnines, for one, quoted Corny, pretending to be very serious, are a group of tiny, teeny butterflies. Just like this. Let me show you. Little teeny butterflies like this. Hang on. I'm recording. Hang on. They use veins in their top wings that are filled with air to channel sound into their tiny ears. It's like a sensitive little hearing device, like you put something in your ear and makes everything louder. And it's called picking up ultrasound. Can you say ultrasound? That makes it sound louder. They can even hear people talk. Butterflies can hear people talk. Be careful what you say, she laughed. So Corny's very dramatic. She said, I'm going to pretend to be a flower. She said, okay, I'm going to talk to the flower or to the butterfly. You look so lovely tonight. And the butterfly could hear her. Amelia mused, too bad the flower can't hear the butterfly's compliments about how sweet she smells. Okay, Amelia, that'll be the next story. Right now, I want to tell you we're far enough to be able to explore. Let's see where we are. We're in the Moonflower garden. Behind the castle, I have a Moonflower garden. How did you get a Moonflower garden, said Amelia. I'll tell you, our great-great-grandmother, she planted seeds that she brought from very far away. She planted them in my backyard, and I read her book, and she said those seeds were in the back of our house in the garden. Oh my goodness, I have to think we better be quiet, because if the moths are coming, the Sphinx moths, and they're flying to us, I heard they're really, really good expert flyers, said Amelia. Oh boy, they also have a very long tongue, so you better be careful they don't bump into you with their tongue. Corny teased Amelia. You know, you shouldn't say such naughty words like proboscis. And Amelia said, that's not a bad word. That's the word for a tongue. Oh, now here's a silly sounding word. Pupa, said Amelia. Pupa, said Cornelia. You mean poopa? No, said Amelia. It's pupa. That's what is the little chrysalis around the caterpillar. And when it breaks off, a butterfly comes out. That's a funny word. You are right. You are very right. That's a funny word. Out of nowhere, a Sphinx moth came sailing straight for the two girls. They ducked in just in time. The moth was so enchanted by the beautiful smell of the moonflower that it didn't think to look both ways before it crossed the street. I mean the air. Ooh, said Amelia. It's going to stick its proboscis down the moonflower's throat. It must tickle a bit, don't you think? I bet you're right, said Cornelia. I hope we never find out. Ew, I don't want him to do that to me. They hid in a lovely cluster of evening primroses. Those are pink flowers that come out in the evening, and they smell really good. At least these lucky ones get to last more than one night, said Amelia, smelling their sweet scent as she watched the Sphinx moths drink up all the moonflower's nectar. Yum. It almost looked like they licked their lips because they curl their tongue at the end, and it looks like they're licking their lips. Corny added, looking down. Good thing no one planted those cardoon cacti. Those would be pinchy if we had to sit in a field of those. They're not good for hiding, but bats, they sure like them, and I like bats. Bats are cool. The girls made their way back home, but it got so dark that they started to lose their way. They couldn't see. Cornelia, who was so good at inventing, she grabbed a silver fern leaf, and on the bottom of it, it's so light and white, that it reflected the moon. And it was like a flashlight, just like a flashlight would bounce light from the moon to our eyes. The cones in our eyes would see it. So did the little leaf. Ooh, that's a pretty fern, said Amelia. Corny explained. The silver fern is a symbol of the Maori people, who our Queen Vesta, our great-great-grandmother, she met them. And they gave her this leaf as a symbol of her strength and resilience and resistance, because she was a brave lady to go sailing around the world. According to what she wrote, she was a rebel in her day, wasn't she? Smiled Amelia. I see why she liked that part, that plant. Oh, she liked it so much she brought the seeds with her, and she planted them in the back of our garden. Lucky for me that I found her diary, or I never would have discovered them and known this trick. She seems to keep looking after us, doesn't she, even though she's long gone and very far away. By the light of the moon, the girls made it safely back to the castle. They tucked themselves in after saying goodnight to the hedgehogs, of course. Corny left the light on as always, making sure there were no real monsters under her bed or anywhere. Good night, Amelia, said Cornelia. Good night, Corny. Sweet dreams. You mean like chocolate and cotton candy? Asked Cornelia. That's right, said Amelia, as she murmured, happily yawning and falling asleep with the scent, the smell of the blooms of evening primrose and white moonflowers, and the soft light of the moon coming through the slightly opened curtains in their window. Good night. That's part of my story for you guys. Well, are you ready to say goodbye? Time to go. So I'm going to get my little ukulele. I'm going to say thank you for joining me. You ready? Now it's time to say goodbye. If you are sad, it's okay to cry. Let's sing everybody's names. Then we'll sing more songs and games. Bye to the children. Bye to the teachers. Bye, Teacher Haya, that rhymes with papaya. And we'll see you all next time. And I look forward to seeing you again. Ready? Use your lips. Now, who does not have a lip? Who does not have two lips? A butterfly. Just like the rain comes down. What's that called? Precipitation. Bum, bum. Bye for now. See you next time.